I am Megan Lee.
And I'm Nicole Danielle.
And this is Romance on the Rocks, where two bookish biddies imbibe. And if you find romance novels to be as much fun as we do, then this podcast is for you.
We do want to warn you, there is adult content and adult wording throughout the podcast. And for this particular podcast, there is a trigger warning for sexual assault and rape.
And I'm going to go ahead and talk about pink slips. We have some issues at least in my book, where I feel like if this happened at my workplace, I would be calling HR. So we might be throwing some pink slips out there, kind of like a red flag in soccer. So just to put that out in front of y'all. So shall we get into it?
Yes, we shall.
And how do we start, Nicole?
With a shot.
We do. We start with a shot because we are bookish biddies who imbibe. So I will just say right now I have got some ratafia, which I got when I was in Spain visiting my sister. And what do you have?
I have some limoncello, cream limoncello that I got in Italy this summer with my husband.
We are world travelers, you
we
guys.
are.
All right.
All right, cheers.
Salute. Ooh.
Ooh. I honestly I try to avoid doing shots anymore in my old age.
I talked this lady into it, let's be honest. We are here together, and it seemed like a fitting start.
And for your cocktail of the episode, what are you drinking?
So I am drinking mostly lemon juice to fend off the scurvy. Unbeknownst to me, the lemon juice did not have a little squeezy top on it, so when I tipped it over, it was a lot of lemon juice. So I don't even know what to call this. Some sort of citrusy goodness.
Okay, I am drinking a Paloma. Palomas are my absolutely favorite cocktail, and I love them for summer, and I'm holding on to the last bits of summer as much as I can. I'm just that kind of person. Although I do love fall. Just not quite ready for the pumpkin spice of it all, so.
You know, she says that, but there is pumpkin spice cereal downstairs on the counter.
Well, cereal is different than beverages. Plus, when you see that at the store, you have to nab it. It's a seasonal item.
Yeah, true. All right, girl. I hear we're starting with my book.
We are starting with your book. Tell us the title, the author, the publishing date, and give us the official description.
So I have Beauty Contest Nurse. It's by Diana Douglas. It's published in 1973.
A classic.
A classic. Now, let's just put out there, not just published in 1973, it's taking place in 1973, so it is like of its time. It is contemporary in its own moment.
Contemporary romance.
Yeah. Official description on the back. Would the prize be love?
Okay, hold on. Okay, continue.
Okay, thank you. When tawny-eyed nurse Maria Mackenzie sought to escape the routine and regimen of the Veterans Hospital, she never expected anything like her job at the luxurious resort hotel in Acapulco. Assigned to the girls in the Miss All-American Beauty Contest, Maria soon discovered that her feminine attributes as a lovely young woman were more important than her nursing skill.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, you heard me. Being pretty is better than your job.
OMG.
Especially with Dick Trevor.
Perfect.
The attractive newspaper man covering the contest.
Okay,
next paragraph. Dr. Mitch Gilbert, her handsome, informal boss, was another surprise, as was Andrew Fisher, the powerful red-headed doctor who was so mysteriously involved behind the scenes.
So wait, there's two doctors?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
2 doctors for 1 nurse?
Ooh.
What's a girl to do?
I mean, this sounds like a movie I've seen. One of these men would change the course of Maria's life. Caught up in the heady excitement of her glamorous surroundings, could she trust her heart to make a wise choice? Oh, I know. We're all ready, right?
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to hear more about this. Give me all the deets on this romance.
So, first of all, we just met our 4 main characters.
Yes.
On the back. So we've got Maria. We've got Dick Trevor, the reporter. Mitch, Dr. Gilbert, basically Mitch. And then we've got Dr. Andrew Fisher. So those are our cast of characters.
So wait, there's 3 guys and then Maria?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Just 2 doctors, but remember, again, the newspaper reporter, that is all important.
Okay.
Because as we all know, there's nothing more romantic than reporting. Now, we've talked about whether or not we want to give the heads up that we're going to be doing spoilers.
Oh, yeah. We are definitely spoiling the hell out of some of these books.
Yeah,
so.
this book is spoiled. It's like a piece of rotten fruit. So I'm just going to let y'all know.
I love the analogy.
Just saying. You will hear all the details. Now, that being said, this woman has written multiple books. So if you like my description of this and it sounds like something you have to read, we can get into future nurse novels.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, she has more than one nurse novel?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
What a topic.
I know. It's an evergreen. I'm really excited for this. So, first of all, Maria, she arrives in Acapulco. Everything is blue and green. We hear it many, many times. Like how blue the ocean is, how green the grass is. In case you guys didn't know, those are the color of those things. She arrives. And just within the first couple pages, I would like to introduce you to Dick Trevor. And he's standing with his photographer as she's walking up the stairs to their fancy luxury hotel. And here was the first thing that really grabbed me, and I was really happy to see in a novel as a modern woman, was the photographer saying to the nurse as she walked up the stairs, "Come on, baby. Just be a little cooperative. Now come on, a big smile."
Oh.
Yeah. It was pretty great. So,
oh my God.
Because there is nothing a woman loves more than being told to smile and being called baby by just a random dude.
Oh, you know that's my favorite.
It is. It's very romantic. It's a great way to open a novel.
And it's such a thing that every woman wants to hear.
Yeah.
Just smile, baby.
Smile, baby. Yeah, be cooperative.
Oh God, that's so skeezy.
It is. So like my first notes here were actually talking specifically about that issue. But again, like after she lets them know she is not a beauty contestant. Because remember, guys, this is beauty contest nurse. She's not a contestant. She is there to take care of the beauty competition
Oh,
people.
I thought she was in the contest.
As did the reporter, Nicole. My, you have a very narrow mind. Just like
Thanks for calling me out.
So, according to Dick Trevor, she could have fooled him.
Well, yeah, Hot Maria.
She's Hot Maria. So she is basically telling him, "Excuse me, get out of my way. I am running behind," which, very valid. And his response is, "But I was just about to suggest a drink if you have time." Lady just said, "I'm running behind." So I also just a little incredulous at the fact that he didn't hear that previous sentence, but it is what it is. So I have a few of those marks throughout the book where somebody just has their statements ignored, or again, like I said a little bit later on, somebody says to her, "You really are quite the girl, Miss Mackenzie." Dude, she's a nurse. She ain't your girl. So when we meet Dr. Gilbert, if you were to imagine Dr. Gilbert, her boss, how would you describe him?
Oh, I'm sure he's broad-chested and manly and prominent nose or some such.
Well, his blue eyes swept over her.
Oh, okay.
He was blonde, handsome, in such a way that Maria thought it's unlikely he would be ever short of wealthy female patients. He looked like the type. So she's coming in. We already have a contestant now, like contestant number 2 for her love, because we've got, the reporter who wants her attention, and now we've got her boss. Perhaps a future pink slip for HR problems coming up there. But it is the first mention on the next page of another thing that I found her to be very focused on. Diana Douglas, the author, she really likes teeth. Teeth. That is the thing she describes throughout the book. So here, his teeth were strong, very white against his tanned face. So she's very preoccupied with his teeth.
Tell me, when you look at gentlemen, are you preoccupied with their teeth?
That's an excellent question. Are we talking like a cool snaggle tooth or like a neat gap?
I don't know. I mean, I appreciate good dental hygiene.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I've ever been like, oh, God, look how white his teeth are.
Well, no, not unless it's like super unnatural.
Ooh, like that fluorescent-y white?
Yeah.
Like it could glow in the dark teeth?
Like a really bad billboard where they're trying to advertise a local dentist. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
But that's not a good preoccupation.
But you're saying this author
She mentions it multiple times. I started numbering it in the
Just
book.
his teeth or everyone's teeth?
No, just multiple people's teeth. Like, that just happens to be something she's noting. So I have a feeling she has a thing for teeth.
Well, everybody, we don't kink shame here.
I'm just
Everybody's
saying,
got
no,
their thing.
I'm just putting it out there.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're talking about teeth. After he grins with his white teeth, he basically says, although they're paying us well, hopefully we won't have to work too hard. So that is meeting her boss. And then I will also say, I feel like this book is full of really bad medical advice.
How so, Megan?
So I have several annotations about bad medical advice, but I will say this is the first mention of the advice where I'm like, oh, that's a little troubling. She asks if he expects there are going to be any problems with these contestants, and he's like, call me Mitch. You don't have to call me, Dr. Gilbert, but I don't expect we're going to need to do a whole lot. I expect we'll need to prescribe and administer an occasional tranquilizer for tantrums, aspirin for the cyclical troubles, or an antibiotic for a chill or something. Tranquilizers for tantrums, you guys.
I don't know if you remember, but we had a certain professor in our journalism program in college who told me that I should take a muscle relaxer.
I do remember this.
To go on air because my face was too expressive.
Yeah.
So honestly, I'm not shocked that he's fully prepared to prescribe some tranks.
I feel like, talking about young ladies and being like, they might need to be tranked for their tantrums. There's a lot of infantilization, just, you know what I mean?
Like small children.
Yeah. Well, and again, like calling your perfectly capable nurse girl. So yeah, there's some really bad medical advice, for sure, throughout this book. That's one of them. So now, he shows her to her room in this fancy hotel. He gives her key to her room, and he's like, hey, I'm going to be going downstairs, meeting up with some folks. Would you like to come? And her response is, I think I would like to freshen up a bit. Again, valid. Okay. You've been traveling.
We don't know what kind of day she's had.
She's come from the States. She's now in Mexico. She takes about a page to stand on the balcony, look at the ocean. She sees a tall, handsome, red-haired man. He notices her staring at him. They kind of both wave at each other. And then she's like, oh, God, I'm on the balcony. And whoops, I'm supposed to go meet Dr. Gilbert downstairs.
Wait, she's just waving at random stranger gingers?
Yeah. So, well, here's how it actually went down. So a strong breeze caught her hair. She instinctively brought up her hand to keep it in place. But the movement must have attracted the attention of the red-haired man on the beach, for he stopped and, looking up, saw her and smiled. He lifted his free hand in a casual wave, and without quite realizing what she was doing, Maria returned the wave. Wow, I know. Can you feel the sparks? I mean, really.
From the balcony? I don't know.
From the balcony.
I don't know if I feel the sparks from the balcony.
But again, I would like to remind you, she's supposed to be freshening up, but instead what she did, stand on the balcony, and then after she waved at a stranger, she went, oh no, I'm supposed to be downstairs. She left the room. What about that was freshening up? I feel like the author missed a moment there to brush teeth or I don't know.
Wash her hands.
Splash
some water on her face. I don't know.
I'm not sure what her version of freshening up is.
Did she even change her top for
she
crying
did
out loud?
Nothing. She did nothing. She waved at a man.
From the balcony.
From the balcony.
A strange ginger man.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we've gone to our little soiree, but she's kind of hyper-focused because she has found out that the reason she's working with a specific Dr. Mitchell is because the previous physician who was there, the hotel dismissed him. They were just like, we don't like the fact that you like to work with poor people, and we feel like it takes too much of your time, so we're firing you. So she's now sitting back and going, I wonder what kind of man he was. 2 pages later, she shows up in a scanty red bathing suit. And I bring this up because, has anybody else used the word scanty? I asked Nicole earlier if she had ever used the word scanty, and she fessed up to using scantily. And yeah. I also have used the word scantily. Never used scanty. And
I like the word, though.
I do, too. I might start incorporating that. So she's in a scanty red bathing suit. So now let's recap. She has traveled all the way from the U.S. She's in Mexico. She had a morning to freshen up, but she didn't. She met Dick Trevor. She met her boss. Now she's on the beach in her bathing suit. The red-headed man approaches. Oh, yeah, you guys. So he comes up and he's basically like, hey. Thank you. Thank you for finishing the interaction.
Like, what are you supposed to say to that?
I mean, that's kind of how it happens. So he comes up, they exchange that. She's looking at him like, dude, get out of my sun. You know, your shadow is interfering with my tan. And then he looks out at the waves. And guys, the waves are getting like real big. So he's looking out, and there are two surfers out there. And this redheaded man is like watching them surf, and he turns to her and he says, are those guys with you? They're going to be in trouble and in danger. It's like really bad out there now. And she's just like, get away from me. I don't care. I don't know them. I'm sure they're fine. They probably surf here all the time. Well, of course, next thing we know, one of them's in trouble. And guess what happens, Nicole? Come on. Guess.
He rescues them?
Oh my God. Have you read this book already?
No, I have not.
I feel like you have. Okay, so the redheaded stranger goes and rescues this man. And of course, she's a nurse in a scanty red bathing suit. She has to go help. So
it's almost like a Baywatch.
Oh, right. They pull him up to the beach, and she's like, we need to do this medical thing. And he goes, no, we don't. And she's like, he needs to see a doctor. And guess what the redheaded man says? Nicole.
He is a doctor.
Oh my God, have you read this book?
No, I seriously have not. But I mean, these plot lines are just,
it's like it writes itself. Okay. So she runs to his car because he's like, go to my car, get my medical bag out of the trunk. And she runs over, and guess what his name is? Dr. Andrew Fisher. He's the guy who was fired from the hotel, Nicole.
Because he cares about the poor people?
He cares about poor people.
How dare he?
I know. So now suddenly she's like, oh my God, this guy I was fantasizing about all morning is like also a redheaded surfer who like blocks my sun but saves people. You and I had talked about things that sound sexual but are not.
Oh, yeah.
If I said to you, Nicole, what about your mane of spume?
Every time you say this, I can't help but giggle.
Maria watched as he raced around the shoulder of the wave, opening the long left side for him down the moving green wall, from which a mane of spume tossed in the wind. Am I saying spume? Spume? I don't know. But guys, a mane of spume tossed in the wind, I just feel like that's wrong. You can't do that in public.
And what is the actual meaning of this? Because I have never heard this term before in my entire life.
It's just like a spray from a wave.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but I read that and I was like, ooh, that sounds dirty.
It sounds very dirty.
Sounds very dirty. Also, when the redheaded doctor pulled himself out of the water, he almost made it. Then he fell. With her help, and still grimly linked to the man he saved, he found his feet again. He forced himself erect. Why, guys? Why?
I'm assuming she's meaning he forced himself to stand up.
Oh, of course.
Okay, but he forced himself erect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that phrase has probably fallen out of favor. That just
forced himself erect.
Yeah, that also sounds very
Are you
wrong.
saying we don't say that nearly enough as we should?
Should we bring it back?
I don't think I can bring that back.
I mean...
But I am going to start giving shit to people about it and be like, hey, when's the last time you had to force yourself erect?
You having trouble getting off the couch there? Maybe force yourself erect.
Oh boy.
Suddenly, she is back in the office and is fully dressed in her nursing outfit, and she is helping Dr. Mitchell hand out prescriptions. The doctor comes out of his office, Dr. Mitchell, and he's got one of the contestants with him. She showed up like a day early, and she's like nervous and stuff. And so he's like, hey, Maria, can you please prescribe her some tranquilizers? And Maria's like, absolutely, I can totally do that. Here's the sentence that concerned me. It was a conventional tranquilizer with no side effect problems.
Like perhaps don't operate heavy machinery or drive or...
You're good. You're good. No side effect problems. So now she's had like that whole afternoon and was working, and Dr. Gilbert's like, hey, I heard you helped save a drowning man on the beach earlier today because you've got the world's longest day. You met Dr. Fisher? She's like, yeah. He says, what does he look like? Because that's a totally normal question for a guy to ask you. Her response, oh, he's good looking, I guess. She was a little taken aback by the question. He's powerfully built. He has red hair. How?
I don't think that's how... Oh, God, yeah. I wouldn't describe... Yeah, no.
Nicole, describe your husband. Is he powerfully built?
Yes, he is.
Is that how you would describe him if somebody asked?
To meeting someone? No. And especially a coworker.
Right.
Yeah.
A coworker, not a long-term coworker. A coworker you literally met that morning.
Yeah, no, that's not how... Yeah. No.
Yeah, well, anyway, that's how she describes Dr. Fisher. The next morning, she's like, I think I'm going to go shopping. And then Dick Trevor, enter reporter, he sees her on the steps again, and he's like, hey, what are you up to? And she's like, I'm going to go shopping. He's like, nah, you're not. I feel like you're also interested in Dr. Andrew Fisher, as am I. Because I'm a reporter, and I think it's weird that they fired him for, like, helping poor people. And I feel like you're a nurse, and you probably are also curious. So he convinces her to jump into a cab and go to a very dangerous part of the city to find Dr. Fisher. So they make it to a very poor part of the city, which they, of course, paint to be super dangerous by describing now people with not straight white teeth. This is how you know you're in a bad neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. They look at the teeth and they're like, oh man, he's got crooked teeth and they're not perfectly white. We're in a bad neighborhood. Then Dr. Fisher's secretary lets them come into the house, and he's not there because he's actually in the village. He's taking care of people, right? That's what he does. And so the reporter's like, drive us to the village to meet up with Dr. Fisher. And this is where, Nicole, my brain kind of imploded a little bit, because have you ever heard of pellagra?
I have never heard of it until you told me about the word.
I had to look it up because I didn't know what this was, and I'm already curious about their medical knowledge in this book, telling me that tranquilizers have no side effect. So, pellagra, an essential step to preparation of corn is, I'm going to get this wrong, nixtamalization. Liberates the chemical compound niacin and makes it available to your bones and the rest of your body. Well, we do not know exactly what ancient Mesoamericans, like how they did this. They had the recipe to do it, to make sure that when they ate the corn, they were able to absorb the niacin, okay? So a real problem when you don't do that to the corn is that you end up with a niacin deficiency and you can get super, super sick. You get this disease called pellagra. So in the 19th century rural south of the United States, sharecroppers were growing corn, selling it, eating it. They were becoming sick because they did not know how to do this proper, like, preparation of it. Okay. So, but that proper preparation was known at some point in time by the folks who lived in the Americas. Okay. Corn-dependent populations in Europe and North America suffered from pellagra, which causes a whole list of problems. Now, here is the important part. Indigenous people in Mexico and North America did not suffer from pellagra because they knew how to soak the dried kernels of corn and how to prepare it properly. Okay, we all heard that. The folks in that area did not suffer from this disease. The rest of this book
is about this disease in Mexico.
Is about this disease and how it's affecting a small village and how this doctor is saving them. He's saving them, you guys.
Okay.
So from the middle of the book till the end, we have a white savior. in Mexico for a thing that didn't exist in this area. So that was cool.
Well, it is fiction, Megan. You and your logic.
I just felt like they could have picked, like...
Any other effing...
Anything for him to be there for. I don't know. So they're in this village. We get a lot of mansplaining.
He's saving all the people.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of mansplaining to the villagers.
My favorite.
Yeah, about how they can eat better in order to, like, properly do their diet. And it's very patronizing.
Megan, I'm also seeing an interesting little flash of color in your novel as you're turning the pages.
Yeah.
Can you pause briefly in the story plot line and tell me what is in your book?
So, halfway through my book, my dear readers, there's advertising. It is a one-page advertisement. It says, collect the Kent collectibles. And it's kind of like plasticware that you'd use for camping. Like mugs.
It's a little Tupperware-esque.
Yeah, like tumblers and stuff. Now, the advertisement I did not show you, and one of the reasons I picked this book. You ready? I want your true reaction, because you have not seen this.
Ciggies! Wow.
It's a book about nursing with advertisements for
cigarettes. Well, why not?
Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
It is. It's a mild, smooth taste for all the right reasons.
Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah. King size and deluxe.
Oh, wow. In a nursing romance novel. Okay.
Yeah, right in the middle where we're talking about nutritional diseases. It's like right there, like a big bookmark.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so anyway, after they see all this and they see the villagers and they're suffering, the newspaper reporter's like, oh my gosh, I gotta do something about this. So he writes a newspaper article, which just basically talks about how pretty the nurse is and like how Dr. Fisher needs money because the hotel fired him, right? And then suddenly, the newspaper reporter, he disappears.
Ooh, the plot thickens.
He's gone. He's gone. He disappears. So she ends up back in town where, you know, we had talked about the pink slip. You ready? Dr. Mitchell basically says to her, hey, there's going to be a gathering this evening, like a dinner, except you have to make sure that you wear your name tag because you should have your name tag on so everybody knows who you are.
Well, and she's new, so...
Right.
Makes sense.
New.
Logic.
Yeah. So they're at a party. He hands her his drink so he can put the name tag on her himself. He pinned the silver bar over Maria's left breast. That done, he stood back with an air of satisfaction. With his hand right beneath her elbow, she allowed herself to be guided around the large, crowded room. So I feel like my boss coming up and being like, hold still.
Hold my drink.
Hold my drink.
Hold my drink.
Yeah, she comes back. He's like, let's go to a party. Hold my drink. Let me touch your boob.
Oh, God. And then guide you around the room physically.
Mm-hmm.
Ew.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she meets up with Dr. Fisher again. He's suddenly at this party as well, even though he was hours away in the village. And he's, like, thrilled to see her. They sit down. They have dinner together. And on the first page, she says, Dr. Fisher. And then they have a conversation. And 3 pages later, she goes, oh, Andy. And I'm just, like, trying to figure out the jump from calling him Dr. Fisher to calling him Andy.
Well, she's already waved to him on the beach, so, I mean, they're on a first-name basis,
That
clearly.
is true. I mean, she's cleared the way. I feel like that's a thing.
After the whole main of spume.
Yeah. I feel like after a main of spume, you're kind of like...
Absolutely first-name basis.
That's intimate. So, yeah, they have dinner together, and then he's like, hey, let's go. I'll drive you home. And she says, cool. They park at the beach, because that's what you do with a man you just met who is driving you home. And then she's like, hey, guess what? My boss thinks you're cool for having, like, helped with that drowning man the other day, and he also thinks it's cool that you're helping poor people, and he'd love to meet you. And Dr. Fisher's like, yeah, I guess I can meet him. And she's like, oh my gosh, Andy, you're so wonderful for wanting to meet my boss. That she has an impulsive kiss.
Oh.
Her kiss was impulsive. Then suddenly she was in his arms, being kissed deeply and passionately. And then, of course, his car stalls and he can't drive anywhere because it's an old car because he helps poor people. And then they walk home. That's it.
That's kind of anticlimactic.
I will tell you, it didn't go very far on the Scoville chart.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So then the next day, she says to her boss, hey, Dr. Fisher says he'll meet you. Let's drive out to the village where he's helping folks. They get in the truck. They drive a couple hours out. When they get there, Dr. Fisher is not there. Nicole, I know. And she's like, oh my gosh, where did my hunky tall doctor go? And the villagers are like, he went through a really dangerous route to go help another village a little bit further down.
Okay.
So she and her boss stick around in the village, like treating people, waiting, and then, oh my gosh, they get the worst news ever. Dr. Fisher has fallen down a crevice and he's dead.
He's dead?
Yeah, you heard me.
Oh my God, please tell me she does not end up with Mitch when she could have had Orange Dreamsicle.
I'm just saying, he's dead. That's what they say for like 4 pages. He's dead.
Damn.
Yeah. Maria was just like beside herself, and the woman in the village who's with her said, oh, he was a good man. I have some tequila here. It'll do you good. So
that's the response to his being dead in the crevasse?
Yeah. Maria's upset that he died, so have some tequila. I mean, logic.
Okay.
They hand her a cup. She drinks some tequila, and a little bit later, she feels better. She felt
I tend to feel better after some tequila.
She felt a little better now as the rough tequila began to take effect.
The rough tequila?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It had texture. Filled with pebbles.
Sand, sediment.
Probably corn. I mean,
corn!
They're in the village. It's only eating corn. So.
Well, you can't have Pellagra if you got corn in your tequila.
Well, you can. That's the problem. Spoilers, you guys.
Spoilers.
He's not dead.
Thank freaking God.
I know. You were attached.
You really had me going.
Did I?
Yes.
Yeah, the book did too. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so happening. He got caught by some sort of tree. They climbed down. They got him. I mean, he was unconscious because he fell a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's a big man. They said that many times. He's a big man.
With great teeth.
Great teeth. They all have great teeth, you guys. So they throw him on like a makeshift stretcher made out of corn.
Shut up. No, they don't.
It really was. There was like some sort of corn leaves or something. They really wanted to drive the point home that these villagers were just not very bright and they were full of corn. So anyway, they get him back to the hospital. The hospital miraculously saves him. They're like, there was no brain damage. I'm like, you might want to wait a while before you say that. You can't really figure that out so fast. And then because Dr. Gilbert, her boss, had helped save Dr. Fisher, she kissed him impulsively and then was on her way to the elevators.
So wait, now she's kissed both of them.
She's kissed both of them.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. A couple days go by. They're like, yeah, he's recovering okay. He's doing all right. Except, guess what? He also has pellagra.
Shut up.
Yeah. Apparently he's only eating corn? I don't know.
And meanwhile, lecturing the villagers about a proper diet and nutrition, but he himself...
Yeah. In an area of the world that wouldn't be suffering from this anyway. And the surgeon's like, unfortunately, Miss Mackenzie, even researchers like Fisher can acquire bad dietary habits, especially when they work continually with underprivileged people. And especially when he's trying to get by on a shoestring budget. Confidentially, Miss Mackenzie, I have tastes for tortillas myself. How about we keep him healthy? We thought you might be able to help. Maybe you could marry the guy and keep a firm hand on the skillet.
Okay.
Why be a nurse when you can feed a man something not corn?
In a skillet. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Goals, dreams. Yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Gilbert says, seems like a good suggestion. A man who lives on corn needs a wife. I know. Speechless, right?
Yeah. No words.
Yeah. We get to the point where Dr. Fisher is now awake in his bed. He's just got like a little bandage on his head to take care of his little owie on his head. But guess what, Nicole? Dr. Gilbert and Maria come into the room together, and suddenly Dr. Fisher's like, oh my God, I bet they're dating. Oh my God, I'm heartbroken. And he like looks really sad. And Maria realizes he looks sad. And she's like, oh my gosh, he thinks that my boss and I are dating. And so she's like, hey, guess what? Dr. Gilbert's got a girlfriend. And then Dr. Fisher's like, oh my God, life is great. And then Dr. Gilbert leaves the room and she kisses Dr. Fisher again.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they talk about a lot of different things, that they're super happy together. And then the newspaper man comes back.
Oh, yeah. Because he disappeared, right?
He disappeared.
Oh,
See,
my God.
you forgot
Okay.
he even existed.
I frankly did, between
You
all the
did.
drama of the
It
crevasse.
was a big deal. The newspaper man comes back. And one thing that you and I know about newspapers nowadays is they have lots of money, right?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. All those ad dollars.
Yeah. So anyway, back in the day, you guys, apparently newspapers had so much money that they were able to completely fund an entire mobile nutrition clinic on their own. So the newspaper reporter came back and was like, hey, good news, you guys. Our newspaper has decided to support all of your work, and we are funding an entire mobile clinic. You just name your price and what you need, and we've got it. So this is like our grand happy ending. Everybody's like full of money and corn and love. And you know what I didn't mention this whole book? A fucking beauty contest.
But the title is Beauty Contest Nurse.
What?
Okay. I feel misled.
I will say there was kind of like background of beauty contest.
Sure, with the tranks.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot going on with the beauty contest. They do mention like a bathing suit parade, and they do mention the fact that our heroine is jealous and does not like the tall blonde contestant from California.
Oh.
Yeah, pitting women against each other. Loved that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, in general, that was it. It was not a jalapeno. It was.
I was gonna say, what would you rank this on our spicy Scoville unit scale?
That is like the least of poblanos. It was so low. I mean, there were like 2 kisses. There was a mane of spume. I just feel like there wasn't all that much.
No, 3 kisses, because she kissed the ginger guy again at the end.
Oh, that's true. 3 kisses.
3 kisses.
I mean, I feel as though I got so much more sidetracked by disease. Like I was
Pellagra. It's a whole new
Yeah. I went off on a little side quest and a tangent trying to learn about that, and I found that fascinating.
Well, yeah.
But I will say, I mean, I wish them well. In fact, would you like to hear about what their future plans are?
Oh yeah. Is there like an epilogue?
Not an epilogue, but just like one of the last sentences here. So he doesn't believe he's going to have the clinic. And she said, but you'll have your clinic at last, and you can eat a balanced diet. And he says, does that mean that I have you? She looked away. If that's what you want. He responds with, then you'll work with me, and we'll be married as soon as we can, and raise some kids. She says, but not on corn, and not too many kids. That's it, you guys.
That's the end?
That's romance right there.
Ooh, hot stuff.
Yeah.
Hot poblano.
Yeah.
We will take a little break. We're going to sip some beverages, because this is all about sipping and romance, and then we'll be right back with my book. Want to show Romance on the Rocks podcast your love? It's easy. Visit www.buymeacoffee.com/romanceontherocks. You can buy us a book or two and show us your love and support. Thanks in advance. All right, we are back from our sipping break. My book is The Viking's Chosen by Quinn Loftis. It was published in 2018. It is book 1 of the Clan Hawken series.
Fancy.
So we have our male main character, Torben, a Viking warrior, and we have our female main character, Alet.
This was a...
I looked up how to pronounce this. I was like hopeful that maybe it was Alette, but the way that it's spelled with a double L and the way I looked it up, it's Alette.
Although we did try Ayette.
Ayette. So, Alette Ovray is an English princess. All right, the official description. In the land of Britain, Princess Alette Ovray finds herself facing a momentous decision. In a selfless act, she accepts a betrothal to a powerful foreign king, knowing it will separate her from her beloved family and thwart her dreams of adventure and worldly exploration. Meanwhile, an unforeseen storm brews on the horizon. Torben of Clan Haakon, a formidable Viking general, has been commanded to invade and plunder Alette's homeland. Bound by duty and honor, Torben grapples with the dilemma of obeying the power-hungry Jarl Magnus, even though he doesn't wish to endanger his fellow countrymen in a reckless campaign. Fate, however, has other plans in store as Torben discovers Alette. Sorry, I can't stop myself. So okay.
That's like having a computer just insert name here.
Okay, hold on. Okay. Alette's hidden talents. As a healer and seer, he learns of an ancient prophecy that links their destinies together in marriage. Now his mission takes an unexpected turn as he must protect the English princess at all costs, for she is prophesied to be the savior of his clan. In a collision of two worlds, their undeniable chemistry ignites against all odds. This sweeping historical fiction weaves a captivating tale of action, romance, and humor. Brace yourself for a heart-stirring journey that will leave you breathless. So, I'm just going to start with some opening observations. There are a lot of parallels to an online game that I play. It's called Viking Guard. There are so many terms used in this book that are, I feel like, directly from the game. But also I know the game didn't launch until like 2 years ago, so maybe the game stole the things from the book.
Well, and my other thought was perhaps these are very like traditional Viking-ish things, and so there's going to be a lot of like overarching similarities.
Yeah, and that's possible too. It was just weird for me because Jarl, Herseer, Magnus, Oracle, all of those things are in the game. Yeah. And I was like, it's like the game, basically.
I feel like that helps to keep track of the characters, too, because you almost have like a picture in your head of who they are already.
Yeah, no, I totally do. Mm-hmm. So the story alternates in the first-person perspective between Torben and Alette. So diving right in, Torben, our Viking dude, is in line to take over for Jarl Magnus, who has no heir. Magnus wants to raid the English, who are holding a royal wedding. The English king's oldest daughter, Alette, is to marry, and the pronunciation again escapes me here, Cathal, it's C-A-T-H-A-L. Cathal, I feel like it would be.
Cattle.
We're going to call him Cattle. He's the king of Terra, and as soon as I heard Terra, all I could hear was frickin' Terra. Yeah. I'm assuming that's like Ireland, a reference to Ireland.
Yeah.
Torben's mom, Hilda, is an oracle. And as alluded to in the description of the book, honestly, I think they give a lot away in the description of the book right there. But she tells Torben basically he's got to take an English bride to save their clan, and he will ultimately become the new Jarl. Meanwhile, back in England, Alette is not thrilled in her impending nuptials to Cathal. And he's apparently been married 3 times before. There's some sketchy deets about his previous wives' untimely demises. So there's some questions there. Basically, he's a gross dude. And one of the first things he says to Alette is, I like a woman who has a little fight in her, Alette. Breaking you in will be much more interesting. Ew, right? So already this guy's not cool at all. So there's some definite trepidation, but she feels obligated to marry him for the financial security of her father's kingdom, Fine, we get it. She's the oldest daughter. We've got these things.
Self-sacrifice.
Yep. At the same time as we're getting introduced to Cathal, Torben and co. sneak into the kingdom in advance of the main raiding party and encounter the local witch, who casts a disguised charm on them so that everyone will think they're English. And they'll look English, but they'll still be Vikings. So some magic brought into the story.
Why not?
And she speaks of 2 potential futures for everyone. One is great, one is craptastic.
Of course.
Of course. She also tells Torben he's gonna have to offer his life for Alette's.
Okay.
So, he hasn't even met the girl yet.
I was just about to say, they don't even really know each other.
Right, but between his mom, like the oracle seeing that he gets from his mom, Hilda, and from this local witch in England, he's like, okay, this is how it's gonna be.
All right.
So they head into the castle and come knocking on Alette's bedchamber doors under the guise of being her new guards, and she doesn't question it.
Because why not?
I mean, she questions it a little bit, but she's like, oh, okay.
I mean, here's the thing. If you've grown up in a little castle and you've always been controlled and you're told that your future's not your own, whatever. New guards, sure, why not?
They're at her door, they're her new guards. There's, of course, an instant attraction between them. Oh, as well as between his bestie Brant and her 16-year-old sister Dana.
Icky,
but also bonus points for secondary romance plot, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah.
But they're in disguise.
Yes.
So she's attracted to his disguise.
As an Englishman. As a Briton.
Okay. Does this change his actual looks? Or
Yes, it does.
Okay, so she likes the illusion.
Of him, yeah.
Okay. All right. Continue.
So, Cathal, and here's another fine example of this dude. You have perfect birthing hips and breasts that should be more than adequate for nourishing my children. Barf, right? With the upcoming wedding, this guy decides sexually assaulting and physically abusing his fiancée is a great way to get to know her better. So Alette, understandably, has an intense trauma response to the assault, and, Torben's there to comfort her. However, I'd like to point out, unlike that rapist motherfucker Cathal, Torben asks Alette for consent to brush her hair.
That's very sweet of him.
It is very sweet. Yay for consent, also. Let's just say that. And we love consent. But in the midst of that, they do end up making out, but it's okay, because he asked for consent first.
Just to brush her hair.
But the making out, it's a lot. It lasts for pages, and it's just a French kiss. It wasn't a gentle kiss. It was a kiss that spoke of possession and want, desire and need. It was a kiss that would ruin a woman for any other man after him. It was the type of kiss that every woman should have as her first.
Can I just quick interjection? So she should have this as her first so that it ruins all other men in the future. Is that what I'm hearing?
That sounds, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, if you didn't have that as your first kiss, your life, meh. Forget about it.
I mean,
Yeah.
At least she's got the birthing hips.
Oh, yeah, and the breasts.
Yeah.
Don't forget the breasts.
Oh, yeah, there are those.
I would like to say, in between these weird kissing descriptions and pages of kissing descriptions, that it is mentioned that Torben sees Alette as a smart, beautiful, and brave woman. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Sure.
We're seeing her for her many different aspects, not just pretty.
She's more than just a face.
She's more than just a face. She's smart and brave. Her parents do start to see Cathal for who he really is and are empathetic to her plight, but they don't seem to really know or offer any solutions for getting themselves out of this debacle. Which, I mean, they're king and queen of England. You think they could maybe figure that out. Cathal and Alette go on a horse ride, and he lays down some impending doom for her before French kissing her and groping her as Torben watches, and this confused the hell out of me. She likes it. And that's honestly kind of weird.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Like...
Okay, so Cathal and Alette go on a horse ride.
Yeah.
Torben's in tow, because, you know, he's her guard.
Yeah.
And he lays down some impending doom. And he's like, you can't bring your clothes with, you got to leave all your loved ones behind. I'm going to rule and control everything in our married life together. Then starts French kissing her and groping her, and she likes it.
Okay. Does she just like the horse ride, or does she like that Torben's watching?
She likes what Cathal is doing to her. And that confused me. I don't know if in her youth and inexperience in romantical activities, if this is just an exciting new thing. But if somebody just laid down the law for me and was like, your life is going to suck being married to me, I don't think I'd be real thrilled about him groping and
This is also a man
me.
who has already assaulted you.
Yes. Bit her, drew blood. Yeah.
Oof.
And has said really creepy, gross things to her.
Ooh.
And said that if she doesn't cooperate, he's going to do things to her sister.
Okay, I see why we had the trigger warning.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I don't like this book.
Yeah.
And I didn't even read it.
I will say, though, bonus points for the use of shrubbery. I always love a reference to shrubbery, and it was not in a sexual way. It was strictly an actual shrubbery reference.
I've had to look back on my book because mine just said foliage.
Yeah, it just brings out the Monty Python fan in me,
does.
honestly. I love a shrubbery reference. So over the course of the book, we find out that Alette is a healer herself, and she needs a soulmate and a blood oath to sustain her powers and life force. And Torben's that guy.
Well, yeah, because you can't be whole on your own.
Yeah.
You need someone else.
And he's like, just do it. And then they totally do it. The blood oath, I mean.
I was just about to ask. Thank you for clarifying.
Which basically is reminiscent of wedding vows.
Okay.
They essentially make a blood oath of marriage.
Okay.
As soulmates.
But she's still married to the other
They're
dude?
not married yet.
Oh.
It's impending nuptials.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm. As this is a newer book, I want to be courteous to the author and not give it away. But there's some plot twists and turns that lead to Torben taking an arrow to the chest for Alette, and she uses her powers to start to heal him.
'Tis but a flesh wound.
'Tis but a mere scratch. It's so Monty Python.
I'm sorry after the show.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. So he takes an arrow to the chest. She starts to heal him with her magical powers, but she's interrupted when Jarl Magnus spots her and decides to kidnap her and her sister.
For why?
Because he wants her powers of healing.
Okay.
And that's the end.
Yeah. Okay. We've been sitting together reading, just kind of going over our books, and I will tell you, when Nicole got to the end of this book, the exclamation that she made, you were pretty incredulous.
I was pretty pissed off.
Yeah.
I knew it was a shorter read, and I guess I wasn't paying attention to the fact when it said it was a part of a series. I thought, oh, this book will be about her and Torben, and then the next book could be about Dana and Brant.
You thought there would actually be like a nice tying up of loose ends. That
I
you would
like
have.
closure.
Yeah. That is not what happened.
Oh no, they leave you hanging.
Yeah. Guys,
Yeah.
she turned her what is it, a Nook, an iPad, or
My iPad.
She turned her little reader around and she pointed where it said the end, and she's like, the end, the end, the end.
Yeah. So thanks for leaving me hanging there, Quinn Loftis. Thanks.
Now, Nicole,
Yes.
will you be reading the next books in the series? Did this inspire you enough to continue to find out what happens to Torby and Alette?
Torby and Alette. I gotta say, not really feeling the draw. Mm-hmm. And I love a Viking romp.
Yeah.
I really, truly do. For me, some of the aspects of the writing were a little challenging. I often got confused with the back and forth between the perspective of Alette and Torben. Sometimes it would take me a couple pages to be like, who the heck is talking right now? Yeah.
So when you say challenging, you don't mean like big words.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No. I think what was most challenging for me is there was a lot of like modern lingo And I got really scratchy around the ears about referring to England as a continent.
Yeah, I had to bring that up earlier because when you mentioned that, I was like, I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, it melted my butter a little bit. I'm like, England's not a continent. But I will say, if people do feel drawn to this story, and they do want to know what happens to Alet and Torben, the next book in the series is The Viking's Captive. And I have to imagine that things will not get wrapped up in that one either, and they probably won't get wrapped up until the third book. But hey, if you're feeling it, maybe you're drawn to the magic. I mean, the magic element is kind of cool. I do want to say one thing kind of ruffled my feathers as well. I'm very much a continuity person, and Alette is described in the book as having dark hair, but the cover art features a blonde.
Okay, so you had brought this up, was that last night, I think? And I mentioned that in my book, Beauty Contest Nurse, the cover shows her, it's almost like, what would you call that? Like a brown,
like an
almost
auburny,
auburn,
yeah.
right? And in the book, she's mistaken for two separate people. One of them being a blonde contestant from California, and the other being a Mexican street person.
Wow.
And I'm like, I don't feel like the description of her swings in either one of those directions. So it's interesting that they're just like, oh, are you this person? So yeah, I feel like that can be really problematic in some of these books where they don't really think about the fact that they're doing these descriptors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would give The Vikings Chosen a poblano with pepper spray because there is the sexual assault, pepper spray that jerk. In poblano, there was some French kissing repeatedly, some groping, but there was no intercourse or anything beyond that.
I feel like your poblano was maybe a little bit leveled up from my poblano, but they're both kind of on the same level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so let's move on to the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Boobie Prize.
Boobie Prize.
When was the first reference to the boobage?
Okay, my book, my first mention of breasts, unexpectedly in the turmoil of the white water that still reached to her breasts, her feet touched the sandy bottom. So mine wasn't even sexual. Like the mention of her breasts in a sexual way was a little bit further on, but page 25.
Oh, page 25 for you.
Page 25. Okay. This was when she was in her scanty red bikini.
Oh, yes. Doing her Baywatch look.
Yes.
Okay. My reference. Do you think her body will somehow be inferior to those of the women in our clan? Do you think she will repulse you? Perhaps she's deformed in some way because she is not a Norse woman with 3 eyes, 6 breasts, and a forked tongue. Is that what you fear? 6 breasts.
6
breasts.
Girl, you know that.
And that was page 16, baby.
Oh, yeah, you totally. That's like double points.
So Boobie Award goes to The Vikings Chosen.
Boobie Prize.
Boobie Prize. Okay. Do you have a romantical reminder from your book journey this week?
I do have a romantical reminder. It's not the best, I don't think, but when Dr. Boss, Mitch Gilbert, did the pinning of the name tag upon the breast, we were just talking about those, I would like my romantical reminder to be to allow your partner to physically move you around. With Mitch Gilbert's hand resting lightly on her elbow, she allowed herself to be guided around the large, crowded room. I feel like, so romantic. Just have somebody steer you around. Yeah.
Okay.
He's just showing her the things, the sights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Opening up a whole new world for her.
Let yourself be manhandled.
Oh. Okay, then. For me, my romantical reminder, it really could be taken straight out of this Viking etiquette book of medieval times. Proper etiquette dictates that chaperones remain 16 yards behind their charges, unseen and unheard. So yeah, if you're going to have a chaperone, make sure they are well behind in 16 yards and that they don't say a thing.
Yeah.
And I think 16 yards is ample space to still explore your love. No, in all honesty, I feel like the romantical reminder for the Vikings Chosen is consent. Consent is so important.
That's a true one. Like we were both going with something kind of just a little lame,
that was my first one was my joking one. My true one is consent. There is a huge difference between just assaulting someone, which is not okay, and asking for consent, even if it's something so tender as brushing someone's hair, which I thought was a very sweet, tender moment.
It really was.
So for the next episode, you're going to be presenting which book?
Younger Sister.
Oh, and who is this by?
I believe it's Kathleen Norris.
A classic romance novelist.
Yeah, and so I was unfamiliar with her. It sounded like, after you have described your mother as being a person who had ample romance novels in the house, that she is somebody that your mom actually had. Yeah,
my mom and my aunt. They both are, or used to be, big Norris readers.
Yeah, and I had never read it. Now, I was pretty into the description of the book, which I did not bring that up here with me. Just a spoiler to the audience out there, my book fell apart while I was reading it. This
it's vintage.
It's so vintage. First the front cover fell off, then the pages started ripping.
And you said it had tanning on the inside cover?
The pages are tanning, and I was trying to highlight things that I found interesting, and my highlighter was just like busting through pages. And then when I got to like the last 20 pages of the book, the back cover fell off. Oh. So this book has seen some things, you guys. And,
okay.
Yeah. Much like your reaction to the end of your Viking novel today, I was kind of incredulous to the ending of my novel.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about it.
Okay. I dropped that so fast on the sofa and just stomped away because I was like, well,
you had to walk away.
That was unexpected.
Unacceptable.
Yeah, I'm a little frustrated.
Well, I'm excited to share my next read in the next podcast episode. It is The Princess by Jude Deveraux. I used to read a ton of Jude Deveraux. I have now read this book 3-4 times.
You're an expert by now.
No, because I forgot. I always forget certain details of it, but I like it because it's a fairly quick read, and it's well written.
Well, and you're looking at it with fresh eyes too, because you're looking at it with kind of a different purpose, I feel like.
I would agree with that, because the first time I read it, let's see, I think this book came out in the 80s. So the first time I read it, I was very young. I had never had any romance experience in my own life. I was terrified to even have a boy call the house. It freaked me out because of my anxiety. So that's the first time I read it. I read it again as a married woman in my first marriage, and then I have now read it again in my second marriage, and it just has a lot of different context for me at this point. So,
well, and we were kind of delving into, oh no, it wasn't her life. Whose life?
Barbara Cartland.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Another classic romance writer.
It's like we were just talking about, like, know, how things hit different once you're, you've had life experience. She definitely had quite the life. Anyway, I digress.
Well, we are so... I feel like if we were to have a sponsor for this episode, it would be Pellagra.
Corn.
Corn.
Pellagra, brought to you by
Corn. No official sponsors yet, but if you're interested, always let us know. You can email us at romanceontherockspodcast@gmail.com. We have a website, romanceontherockspodcast.com, and we have a Facebook page, and we absolutely have an Instagram, and we're working on the Pinterest. We do appreciate you joining us today. Be sure to like, subscribe, and review us, because sharing is caring, and that's how all this works.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we cheers our first official...
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
Here's to being a hopeless romantic.
Yay.
Love it.